to type any questions.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome and thank you for joining us today. A reminder, your microphones are on mute. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar. We will pause to answer them. And we will also have time for questions at the end. A recording of this webinar will be posted on our website along with any videos shown. And a handout of the highlights from this webinar have been emailed to you, and a link has also been provided on the webinar panel. My name is Kelvin Alfaro. I'm a Program Officer with the Fresno Regional Foundation. And with me I have Senior Program Officer Sandra Flores and Foundation Support Specialist for Programs Michelle Murphy. We also have a special guest on the phone, Rick Noguchi, Senior Program Officer for the Arts with the James Irving Foundation. Sandra and I will be your presenters today. To give you a brief overview of who the Foundation is, we are a community benefit organization that has been around since 1966. Our regional footprint includes Fresno, Madera, Kings, Tulare, Mariposa, and Merced counties. We have over $65 million in assets and have 5 grant cycles: arts and culture, youth, human services, and teen pregnancy prevention, the environment, and high impact. I'm going to turn over the stage to Sandra for the next section.
All right, good morning, everybody. We always like to start these webinars to kind of gauge who's in the audience since we don't get to see your lovely faces. So let's start with the first question. Is this your organization's first time applying? So if it is, please say yes. Here we go. Will this be your organization's first time applying to the foundation? So please select yes, no, not sure. We're going to wait a few seconds. Give you time to reply. Let's see, we have 72% so far. A little more time, a little more time. Okay, we're going to get ready to close this. What's the result, Michelle? So we've got about 38% of you out there that this is your first time. Okay, so Kelvin is going to treat you very kindly and be very clear to all of you first-timers. And then we've got about 62% of you that can run these webinars. So, all right, let's get to our next question. Let's launch that, Michelle. What is the question here? Does your organization serve urban or rural communities or both? So, give a few seconds. We're waiting on you. We're at 58%, 61% voted. Just a few more seconds. All right. Here we go. Okay, Michelle, let's get ready to close that off. There are the results. Most of you are serving both rural and urban communities. It's at 63%. And then we have 13% that's just rural and 25% is just urban. Okay, great. Our last question, let's launch that, Michelle. Here it is. Is your organization's operating budget $100,000 or less? So if you don't know, there's a not sure option, but we really are trying to gauge who the size of your organizations on this particular webinar. So we're going to wait a few more seconds. We're at 84, 89. All right. Let's get ready to close it off. Here we go. So 71% of you are larger, more than $100,000 at least, and we've got about 30% of you at $100,000 or less. Okay, great. So that almost corresponds to the number of first-timers here. So we will be very clear, and please don't hesitate to ask questions along the way. We will incorporate them as we go through the presentation. So Kelvin, you are on for our agenda.
Thank you, Sandra. We have a very busy agenda. We want to cover information about the funding priorities 2014, the Arts and Culture Grant Cycle. We want to stipulate reporting requirements and also apply using our OLA system in 2014. And lastly, we will give you some final tips and time for questions at the end. A reminder that all this information is available on the handout and on our website. We have about 2 hours for this webinar. However, based on our in-person presentation yesterday, we hope to get to this presentation in an hour and 30 minutes. Lastly, we're going to cover lots of information about our OLA application system. However, we do want to give you a heads up that we will be transitioning to a new application system in 2015. This change will not impact you this year, but we do want to give you the heads up for next year. Okay, in 2014, the Foundation has 2 funding priorities. We have approximately $200,000 available for funding, and the 2 main priorities are $100,000 for arts and culture and $100,000 for pilot project engagement pathways, a partnership with the James Irvine Foundation. So again, on the side, we have $200,000 total, and we have 2 priorities. I will cover the first priority, and Sandra will discuss the second priority. Let's get started with the first priority for arts and culture this year. The goals to fund. It is important for the Foundation that community benefit organizations we support are aware and sensitive of the diversity in the Central Valley. Therefore, FRF will fund programs that support culturally relevant art forms that reflect and serve the San Valley's diverse population. We will support art programs and activities that engage underserved communities. And we will support arts and culture activities that increase academic success. To reiterate, we have approximately $100,000 available. The ranges for these grants will be from $10,000 to $55,000, and they will be 1 year in duration. The geography will be for Fresno County. The restriction for these monies stipulates that the art and culture programs benefit Fresno County. Therefore, organizations must provide services to Fresno County residents. Organizations outside of the area may apply, so as long as they provide services to Fresno County. A bit more context of the $100,000 available, approximately $10,000 is designated specifically for the city of Fresno. This is the last of the money from the A to Z tax. Several years ago, the city of Fresno imposed a new tax for the arts. This tax was challenged in the courts, and it was found to not be legal. Therefore, the money was given to the Fresno Regional Foundation and other art-serving organizations. This is the last of that money. Sandra, is there anything else you would like to add here?
Yes, I think this is a great opportunity to provide some context as to the role of the Community Foundation. While we are certainly interested in supporting our community benefit organizations, our partners in the community, serving residents in this region, we also work with donors who are interested in philanthropy and interested in impacting the community long after they are here. So if a fund has been established with the foundation, the donor has the right to put restrictions to it. And one of the funds that is supporting this arts and culture grant cycle has a geographic restriction that we are adhering to that stipulates that it focuses on Fresno County. The Arts to Zoo Fund, which Kelvin mentioned, was a result of a tax that was implemented in the city of Fresno. When the court said, no, we can't continue to take this tax, but with the money that was already secured from the tax, they said it has to get back into the community to arts and culture organizations in the city of Fresno, since that's where the tax was implemented. So that's just a little context about some of the funds that are supporting these competitive grant-making cycles and programs. Go ahead. Thank you, Kelvin, for the time. And you can continue on.
Michelle, next slide, please. The selection criteria for this funding priority. These factors will be considered when reviewing your proposal. Data supporting program impact, programs customized to target populations, proven expertise in the proposed field of work, strong organizational capacity, strong rationale for proposed program and/or approach, and the integration with other programs, organizations, and/or systems. There is one more selection criteria, and I would like to turn the stage over to Sandra again for a bit more details on that criteria.
So as we continue on the selection criteria, we have stated that FRS values collaboration with other organizations and agencies for greater results. We believe working together in this way will contribute to sustainable community change. Demonstrating how the organization works with other stakeholders will cause your proposal to receive a higher ranking. So some of the criteria include a shared vision. So we are going to assess how you are collaborating with your organization through a shared vision, shared measurement, constant communication with your partners, how you demonstrate that in the proposal, building on the services and strengths of other stakeholders. This approach is called collective impact. Now, the foundation is learning more and more about collective impact. We have put it under the selection criteria because these are not deal breakers. If this is currently not going on in the project or the programs that you're proposing, it's not going to keep you out of the running. We are just encouraging that if this is going on, you want to highlight that in the proposal. And as we learn more and more about collective impact, this approach has a lot of value and seems very compelling to the foundation. And you will be seeing more and more in this grant cycle and others how we are integrating these values and these behaviors or these characteristics in proposals. So with that, we're going to show you a video on collective impact.
Collective impact. Diverse organizations coming together to solve a complex social problem. Traditionally, nonprofits have operated in isolation from one another, pursuing their goals independently. But complex, large-scale problems require a coordinated, structured, and collaborative approach. Collective impact means creating alignment, commitment, policy, funding, trust, and coordinating across sectors, public, nonprofit, business, governments, foundations. Collective impact efforts fit the F5 conditions. Common agenda. This means all parties agree to shared goals and how to get there. Shared measurement, keeping track of the same things. Mutually reinforcing activities, each actor doing their own part, using their unique skills. Continuous communication, regularly sharing results with each other. Backbone of organization. A support team that helps mobilize, coordinate, and facilitate. Keep the goal in sight and the progress rolling. Channeling our collective strength, we can solve the world's toughest problems. Collective impact. Diverse organizations coming together to solve a complex social problem.
Okay, so I'm going to continue on. We're going to get into the second priority of this Arts and Culture grant cycle. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them. You should be able to text them or type them in, and we should be able to see them. And we will integrate questions as we're going through. And I want to make sure that it is working. Have we had any questions yet, Michelle? No? So will somebody send in a test so that we know that it is working and we're not just assuming nobody has questions? And I will continue on. Okay. So we are I'm going to give you a little context for this second priority. It's been almost a year when we were contacted by the Irvine Foundation. They have developed a new strategy for their state for the arts and culture program statewide. And as they thought about how it would roll out here in the Central Valley, they contacted us to partner with them so that they could take special care and consideration of the Central Valley in this strategy rollout. So as a result of that conversation and partnership, we have integrated a specific portion of their new grant, arts and culture grant strategy. So I think what we're going to do first is show a video that the Irvine Foundation has developed to share about this new strategy. So Michelle, will you start us off on the video, please?
Hello. I'd like to share a little background information about the refinement we're making to our arts funding here at the James Irvine Foundation. While our specific priorities are still in development, we wanted to preview the key ideas with you. Our arts program refinement reinforced the Irvine Foundation's ongoing commitment to the arts, constant since our founding in 1937. This commitment is rooted in our belief that vibrant, successful, and inclusive societies have access to arts and culture, and that that kind of access promises the cultural vitality we envision for California. As we've spent the past year exploring how best to...
All right. I don't know why the video is not... Oh, here we go.
It has become clear to us that the arts sector is experiencing major shifts. New art.
Okay, let's pause it. We are having technical difficulties here, and we ran this through several times, and so we did include the link, I believe, in the email, and it will be on the website. So please take time to take a look at this very informative video. All right, so let's get to the actual priorities of this grant making. So the pilot project, these are the goals to fund, and again, this is in partnership with the James Irvine Foundation. Fresno Regional Foundation's grant-making program will fund projects and programs that integrate 3 distinct engagement pathways. First, engage low-income and or ethnically diverse populations that have been traditionally underserved by arts nonprofits. The second, expand the ways community engages in the arts by making or practicing art, including the use of digital technology to produce or curate art. Third, advance the use of diverse, non-traditional spaces for arts engagement, especially in regions with few art-specific venues. So we did this information session yesterday. A couple of things that I want to emphasize here. The focus is the support of arts and culture organizations, and these organizations being $100,000 in operating budgets or less. So that's the first emphasis. Now, if you are an organization with an arts and culture program, this doesn't necessarily kick you out of these dollars. However, Irvine has been explicit that their priority is to support arts and culture organizations. And their partnership with the foundation is to help them seek those smaller organizations. So I'm going to continue on. So again, $100,000 is available. The amount will range from $1,000 to $10,000. These are micro grants. They are a year in duration. The counties targeted include Fresno, Merced, Madera, Mariposa, Tulare, and Kings County. So all 6 counties have the Fresno Regional Foundation's footprint. So in addition to the target of organizations, arts and culture organizations, and those organizations having $100,000 or less, the added is the micro grants. These are small grants. Okay. So I'm going to continue with the focus of the grants. To fund approaches that support how art experiences are developed for more audience relevance and creating art experiences that are meaningful to more people. An emphasis will be placed on supporting small microcultural groups and projects that bring art to the community. So adding to the target of arts and culture organizations, and those organizations having operating budgets of $100,000 or less, and the micro grants, $1,000 to $10,000, they are looking at audience experiences, new audience experiences, and small multicultural groups. So we're going to continue with the focus of the grants. These grants must be used to support prototype projects that attract and reach out to new audiences. Therefore, these grants will be designed to reach arts organizations, unincorporated groups, artist collectives, and even individual artists who use fiscal agents, all serving the central San Joaquin Valley. Now, I'm going to take a moment, one, to check to see if we have any questions, and to ask Rick, let's make sure that he's not on mute, ask Rick if he would like to add anything. Rick, are you there?
I am here. I don't think I need to add anything except what I'll say that what we're looking for are experiments. This funding should be used as risk capital for organizations to try experiments using the pathways of looking at who is engaging, how people are engaging, particularly active participation, and then also where engagement takes place. So looking at projects that are happening in non-traditional arts venues.
Okay, great. I'm going to continue on with the eligibility criteria for this grant making. So these factors will be required. These are non-negotiable. Organizations, artist collectives, community groups, and individual artists with fiscal agents with budgets of $100,000 or less. However, organizations with budgets of $100,000, over $100,000, will still be eligible to partner with smaller organizations or individual artists as fiscal agents. So this is just to say that we know that the larger organizations may be in the position to be a fiscal agent. We're not trying to kick the actual applicant out of the running or to attempt to secure these funds simply because their fiscal agent exceeds the operational budget limit. So there will be, it's not an exception because we're still looking at the either individual artist or the artist, the collective that's not necessarily a 501c3 that would need the fiscal agent. But if you are using a fiscal agent, if their budget exceeds $100,000, it does not disqualify you. We understand that they are simply the fiscal agent. The next eligibility criteria focus on audience engagement and experience. Again, this is a non-negotiable. The grant must contain details and demonstrate the focus on audience engagement and experience. And lastly, projects will pilot new activities to deepen the engagement of participants in a new way. Oh, and we've got another page to continue on eligibility criteria. Oh, here we go on selection criteria. All right, so those were the non-negotiables. Now here are the things that will cause the applicant's proposal to receive a higher ranking. Projects that take advantage of the pace, ease, and participation afforded by technology. projects that help arts and culture organizations become relevant in diverse communities, reach new audience with first-time art experiences, and art projects in rural communities. All right, so the next kind of interesting aspect of this partnership with Irvine is that all the funded projects in this particular priority will culminate with several public presentations that create public pathways for easy access to new audiences that have been underserved by arts organizations. The Fresno Regional Foundation will develop, market, and host all the public presentations, but we want to be very clear that every grantee awarded a grant in this priority, their projects will culminate in public presentations. All right, I've got a note here saying that, oh yes. Now, we have an example, to kind of get your juices flowing about what this would kind of look like, a public presentation. We have sent you the link, I believe. No, it will be on the website, and we will send it after this webinar is complete, so that you can kind of see something that gives you an idea of how you engage new audiences. And it's worth your time to watch. So we have tested it on this webinar. It's not going to work. There's a real delay in it. So be on the lookout for that follow-up email from this webinar that contains the link for you to take a look at. Now, I want to take a moment to see if we have any questions. Michelle, was there anything that's coming in?
We have a question asked, how many public presentations are required within 1 year?
So we anticipate that all grants won't be given in Fresno. So we know there will be more than one. Not knowing who the grantees are and where they are located, we don't know exactly how many. We kind of, just so that we're managing and we are being effective with these public presentations, they could be as many as 4, and if it requires, a few more than that, but we're going to plan on 3 or 4. We do know that we have to have one by November. So one grantee, depending on the type of program that will be funded, we're going to ask one grantee if maybe they could have it ready by November. That's 6 months into the grant. And this is because we want to get some information to Irvine about the rollout. So we will ask all the grantees, as it's feasible, at the end of the year, to participate in the public presentations. We don't see that we're going to have one public presentation for one grantee. We would like to combine them if we can. But again, we are not certain on how that will unfold. We have to wait to see who will be awarded, the types of projects, and the location. So those will drive the development of the public presentation. If it is feasible, and again, the foundation will support these and everything it requires to develop them and launch them, we foresee that these public presentations will highlight more than one grantee at a time. So yes, the grantees will be requested, if it is feasible, to integrate with another grantee, and we will help and rely on the details of the projects, to make sure that they're fluid and we're not overburdening any of the grantees. I hope that answers your question. Go ahead, Michelle.
We have another question about fiscal agents. What's the fiscal agent criteria, and how can an artist or community group match up with a fiscal agent?
So in preparation for this grant making, we convened some of the larger organizations like the Arts Council, Creative Fresno, who could potentially, we wanted to make them aware of this opportunity. We wanted to kind of get feedback in preparation for these information sessions and to kind of give them a heads up that they may be asked to be fiscal agents because those organizations may not necessarily qualify for these dollars. So if you are interested, we can certainly share, in the region who's a larger arts organization that is aware of this effort and share that contact information with you. But ultimately, it is the applicant's responsibility to secure those fiscal agents. The applicant must be developing those relationships with those organizations, must make the ask and tell them, share what's your idea, what your project, and it's up to that particular organization whether they want to integrate the additional work for the year in managing a grant. So we are certainly happy to share with you, some organizations that may fit, but ultimately it is the applicant's responsibility to secure the fiscal agent. Does that answer the question?
And another question, if the grant is written for something that already has a performance, does the FRF presentation have to be separate?
So I think, let's say that you're going to be, whatever, it's already part of your performance, a presentation is already part of your grant project. I don't see us, conflicting with what your project is. What we're trying to convey and communicate is that you will also be expected to participate in what the foundation develops, because this is part of our partnership with Irvine. And so these public presentations are part of the grant and the partnership that we have submitted to Irvine that we will do, that the foundation will be responsible for. So, you could have your own presentation as part of your grant, but grantees should be clear that the foundation will request and expect you to participate in the public presentations that the foundation will be developing and marketing and leading. I hope that answers your question. All right, so I think you can continue to submit your questions, and I'm going to take a moment to see if Rick wants to add anything to what has been shared so far. Rick, are you not, did we have him off of mute?
Yeah, I think I'm off of mute, and I don't have anything else to share.
Okay, well then we're going to continue on with the webinar. Kelvin, please continue on for us.
Great, thank you, Sandra. We did have one more question that we answered via text. Does the fiscal agent need to be a 501c3? Yes, and we will go over the eligibility in just a couple of slides.
And we will go over it, a 501c3, a public agency, the qualified fiscal agents that we have listed on our website that Kelvin will go over in a moment.
Thank you. Before I go over the how-to, I wanted to give you the deadline for this grant cycle. So there's 2 application deadlines, and we'll go over how to... One application deadline. We have an organization profile form due the 21st, and the application is due March 7th for both of these priorities. Just a heads up, if you are awarded, the final grant report will be due April 24th of 2015. And the public presentations are still to be determined, as Sandra stipulated. So who is eligible to apply to an FRF grant? This is applicable to fiscal agents, and this is also applicable to all our other grant cycles. To be eligible to apply, your organization must be a nonprofit community benefit organization, a 501c3, a government agency, community group with a fiscal agent, public agency, or an educational institution. You must also be serving one of our geographic regions, Fresno, Madera, Tulare, Merced, Mariposa, and Kings counties. As a reminder, this information is available on our website. And on page 3 of your handout, we have the required documents that each organization would need to provide when applying. Here is a bit of information as to how we measure financial health. Again, this information is in that table I just referenced, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it is available on our website as well. Go ahead. The restrictions. Fresno Regional Foundation will not consider grant requests for the following: any previously incurred expenses, fundraising by one agency on behalf of another, endowments, institutions limiting their service to a person of a single religious sect or denomination, and individuals. It is important to note here that while artists are able to apply to the pilot projects, they will be treated as a community group with a fiscal agent, as the FRF does not provide grants to individuals. The reporting requirements. We're going to spend a bit of time here. This is an important piece to the foundation, as the grant reports help us to measure our impact in the community. In 2008, when we began our competitive grant-making program, we began with the final report. What did we want to find out? And we worked backwards to get the questions that we wanted to ask each applicant. Before you apply, please take a look at the reporting requirements for our grant. Understand the type of information that we will be asking you to collect. Think about what data your organization is already collecting and what data you do not collect, because they will be required in the final report. You may also start to think about how you can collect this data if you are awarded and are not doing so already.
I'd like to add that for those who are applying to the pilot project, because we know we are targeting small organizations that may not have things in place to collect data, the Fresno Regional Foundation will be providing a sample template. Now, you could develop whatever you want to develop, to collect data, because we are encouraging every applicant to take a look at the reporting requirements. This is going to be required of all grantees. But we want to provide some additional assistance to those smaller ones that we're targeting as a result of our partnership with Irvine. So we hope to have a template kind of survey to offer those applicants or those grantees, and encourage you, as you think about your budgets and your projects, to have a line item for incentives. So we're in a community event. We want to collect data from the audience there. And so we'll have that template to share, and we're going to say, as an incentive, please fill this out, because we have a $250 gift card, to award in the raffle. So you're incentivizing your audience to fill out the survey that you're giving them that has all the required data for reporting. And as an incentive, it goes into a raffle, and you're awarding $100, $150, depending on whatever your budget is. But you know that the grant ranges are $1,000 to $10,000, so having a line item earmarked for incentives to help you collect that data, as the foundation provides you kind of an example template for a survey for you to use in these projects. I just wanted to add that here in the reporting requirement.
Thank you, Sandra.
And we have a question.
Yes, let's pause for that.
So there was a question asked, are these forms, templates, etc. on your website, or will they be emailed to us?
They are not on the website. We are reviewing them. We will be sending it to Rick, to get his feedback, and then we will finalize it here internally well before we need to start collecting data. So we just wanted to let you know that the Fresno Regional Foundation will do everything we can to support our organizations to collect this data. One, we want to make you aware of the expectation, and then also, two, we want to help support you as you collect it. So it is not available yet, but it will be, and we will probably email it to those applicants or grantees, and then eventually have a template on the website accessible to anybody, because we're just developing it. Again, you can use whatever you want to use as long as you get the requested information in the final report.
We have one more question. Will FRF provide an additional funds for transportation for required presentations, or should we include it in our proposed budget?
FRF will support everything that is involved in the public presentations, including transportation reimbursement. We do not expect applicants and eventually the grantees to absorb the cost that will be part of the public presentations. FRF will take full responsibility, and whatever that means, in terms of getting people to and from those public presentations. That is our cost. Please do not include it in your budget.
All right, we're going to continue on with the reporting requirements. Were there any more questions, Michelle? Okay, great. So to reemphasize, organizations must be prepared to comply with reporting requirements at the end of the grant period. We also ask that you provide us with any electronic copies of press releases and or media contacts that result from any grant. This year, we're also welcoming photos, newsletters. We encourage you to add us to your mailing list and for you to share the successes of the grant throughout the year as we progress towards the final report. Lastly, a word of caution. Failure to submit a final report may disqualify the grantee from future funding requests. Now we're going to go to our website and demonstrate to you the entire application process.
And again, we will take questions as you have them, especially on this part. We have some refinement. We hope we provided some additional clarity in these forms. Most of the things in the organization profile form, or the OPS, has remained the same. But we hope to just highlight the areas that have generated the most questions over the years. The forms are very direct and straightforward, so we're not going to go through every single area that needs to be populated, but we do want to highlight some of the refinements and certainly the areas that generate the most questions and seem to have challenged, especially our new users in this application process. So we hope to be very concise, and we are doing good on time. So let's get to it, Kelvin.
We have a couple more questions, Sandra,
Okay.
for the public presentations. Will FRF also pay artist fees for the public presentation?
No.
Performances.
So fees, so we do not expect our grantees to charge us to be a participant in the public presentation. Part of the transparency of our grant-making program is to convey what the expectations are. So the foundation, through this grant-making project, will fund and support these projects as we have laid out in priority. And as part of the expectation, that project will be part of a public presentation. So there will be no additional charges or fees given to the grantee. In addition, we do not expect the grantee to absorb additional costs to participate in the presentation. So we will offset the costs, such as transportation, such as if we select the community that that particular grantee is in, and we have to put a deposit down for the venue, we're not going to forward that cost over to the grantee. The foundation will cover those costs, but we will not pay additional fees to have those grant granted, awarded presentations participate in the our public presentations. I hope that answers your question.
You have one more question. Can a CBO, public charter school, apply for arts and culture grant and serve as a fiscal agent for a pilot project in the same cycle?
Yes. So we had a similar question yesterday, and Rick can expound more, but so the target of the grants, as we've emphasized, are arts and culture organizations. Arts education is not a priority for Irvine. So it may not, the proposal from a school, and if it has, if it's in the realm of arts education, may not be as competitive for the pilot project. It certainly would align with the $100,000 for in the other priority that the foundation is supporting. But again, the geographic restriction is Fresno County for that. So that answers the question about the school applying. Now, the school serving as a fiscal agent, that is completely acceptable. If that school or charter school is willing to serve as a fiscal agent to the any of the applicants that are applying to the pilot project, that is completely acceptable. I hope that answers your question. And yes, you can do both.
Great.
You can serve as a fiscal agent and then apply to one of those priorities.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. It doesn't look like any more questions have come in, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the demo of the application process using Olga. Again, as Sandra iterated earlier, your feedback is important, and we've made several changes to Olga to help with streamlining the application and reporting process and to clarify instructions to help you along the way.
Okay, so while Kelvin is going to the live, I believe he's going to the live website, we do have a question that most charters have a budget of over $100,000, so they cannot apply. I believe I indicated earlier that we understand that fiscal agents may have a budget over $100,000, and we are not trying to disqualify those applicants who are interested in the pilot project. So we will not disqualify an applicant who is using a fiscal agent to apply for that grant. However, if the charter school wants to apply for that pilot grant and their budget exceeds $100,000, then yes, they do not qualify. We are specifically targeting organizations with $100,000 or less in budget. So that means the applicant. So it could be an individual artist, an art collective, a CBO, 501c3 organization. If they have $100,000 or less as an operating budget, they qualify for that grant. If they exceed $100,000 and they are applying, not serving as a fiscal agent, they are applying to secure those grants, they do not qualify if they exceed $100,000. So I hope that provides some clarification.
I just want to add something to that, and that remember we have two funding priorities. The pilot project has the limitation of a $100,000 budget for the organizations applying. The other funding priority for arts and culture does not. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you navigate to our home page, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to log in. And for those of you that do not have an account with us, the first step that you are going to take is actually request an account. We're going to go ahead and do that at this time. We ask you a simple form that helps us generate your account. However, we do ask that organizations only maintain one account with the Fresno Regional Foundation. We have provided an option to be able to search if your organization already has an account with us. So if you click on check existing PIN number and you search for an organization name, maybe that one is yours, we're going to hit search. And if something comes up here and with the IEN number, that means you have a profile with us already, and we request that you instead find your username and password either using our website or retrieve it from your own system and use that account instead. So there's no need to create a new account for this organization. Once you have your username and password, we're going to go ahead and log in. And if you don't know your password, there's a forgot password link that you can retrieve it. So once you log in, you're greeted by a message from the program staff. To get started, I just want to point that all the information we have covered today is in the Grant Programs and Grant Guidelines tab once you log in. We are going to go to My OPF or Grant Applications page. There are two sections that I would like to orient you here to. The top half of the page is for the organization profile form. The second bottom of the page is for grant applications. I want to remind you that in order to apply, you need to have an organization profile on file with us by the given deadline. And this, if you are a new organization, you will create a new OPF. If you are an existing organization, you will see your organization profile form listed here on the table. And I want to orient you to the different buttons that allow you to navigate this dashboard. The delete button will, of course, delete your OPS. If you have multiple OPS listed there, please delete the most recent one. Again, we only want one organization profile per organization. The view mode will let you see the organization profile and any other form on the website as we would see it. This is important, and we will talk about this later. And the edit button is going to let you edit the application. So once you have saved it. The next step, we're going to go ahead and edit ours, but if you're a new organization, you would go ahead and create a new OPF. The information here is we're going to cover only the information that generates the most questions. Again, I want to reiterate one organization profile per organization. Please complete all of the cells, including the narrative questions. And at the bottom of this application or organization profile, we have attachments that need to be uploaded each year as they become updated. And again, you only need to update your organization profile once a year.
And that is a calendar year from January to December.
Correct. So the first item I want you to be mindful of is the timer right over here on the very top of the page. You may lose your work if you allow the timer to elapse without saving. Please save your work often. The sidebar has been refined to provide you with additional helpful information. Please review those as they will guide you through the completing this profile. The first field that we're going to focus on is the OPF entry. Again, if you have an existing profile with us, you will select the annual update. If you are a new organization, you will select the new OPF. The next field is the profile number. If you have applied to us in the past, this field will most likely be filled in with your OPF number. Otherwise, this number will be provided to you by the program staff once we review your OPF. So if you're a new organization, please leave that empty. Scrolling down, we do ask you for board and staff demographics, including gender, age, and ethnicity. And we ask you multicultural community impact questions. We ask these questions to help us orient ourselves as to who is providing services in the counties that we serve. This information is not used to determine eligibility for a grant. We continue to scroll down. We reach the attachment section. This is one of the items that generates the most questions. Once you begin your attaching files, you will be able to select a specific file that you would like to attach. And you save it, and you come back and edit. You will not see an attachment here in edit mode. You will be able to see your attachments in view mode. This was important in the My OPF page. There's a view button that you can use to look at the OPF as we would see it. So if you don't see your attachments here, please check the view mode. Attachment names. Often organizations name their attachments in different ways. We ask that you use a consistent naming scheme, and that would be with your organization name, the type of document it is, and the year, as highlighted here. What happens is if organizations name their attachments with spaces, ampersands, or any other character, we are not able to receive or view the attachment. This causes additional work for you in having to go back in and reattach it and rename it. We also provide you samples of documents that you can download if you don't know what they are. And on page 4, we provide you this table of what documents you will need to attach depending on the type of organization that you are. Lastly, on this page, I want to point you to the submission status. Return for editing or submit to FRF. FRF staff will most likely not review your OPF if you leave your OPF and save a return for editing. You must change the field to submit to FRF by the deadline date at 5 p.m. This is an indication that everything is complete and we should go ahead and review it.
Again, we're going to get to the application next, but we are trying to just cover the things that generate the most questions or prolong the process of your OPF. The attachments is the #1 reason why your OPF will not be reviewed and processed in a timely manner. About 60% of our OPF submitted are being submitted with a document that is mislabeled. So please do not use any symbols. That includes the ampersand, that includes an asterisk, that includes a slash, forward slash, backward slash. No symbols when naming your document, only letters and numbers, that's it, no spaces. So please pay special attention to how you're labeling your document.
We also have, we have 3 levels of confirmation for every form on our webpage. This includes the OPF, the grant application, and the final report. These levels are a confirmation page that you get once you hit save. This page gives you additional information. Immediately after that, you will receive an automatic email from our Olga system with the information that you submitted on your form. And lastly, once a program officer or program staff has reviewed these forms, we will send you a follow-up email specific to you that we have reviewed it. If you do not see the first two layers of this confirmation, it may be an indication that something was not saved correctly. The confirmation from the program staff will most likely be sent after the deadline. As Sandra mentioned, most people wait until the last date to complete this information, the OPF, and so we give ourselves the next week to process them.
So the first layer is the confirmation page. The second layer is the automated email. The third layer is an email from the program staff, which will come much later. The first 2 are immediate. The last one, it isn't until we physically review all the documents attached, and then send you an email confirmation saying that your OPF is accepted or your application is accepted in the case of a grant deadline. So let's go on to the next.
We're going to return to the grant applications. So as you begin writing your application, you will click on Apply for a Grant. Again, same items as the OPF, the timer on top, and the sidebar with information. We want to orient you to those. We also have a print to PDF button that will allow you to save this application as a PDF for you to work off of it offline. A couple of items to highlight. We do have a budget template that is required. There's a link to download it at the very top. A couple of the items that generate the most question is the funding area category. You must select your funding area category each time you save. So each time I will select arts and culture if that is the cycle that you are applying to. Here we've added a space for grant duration. Most of our grants are 1 year in duration. However, high impact and teen pregnancy prevention grant cycles both have grants that are 2 years in length. We've refined this question, organization impact. Many organizations want to let us know the reach and their impact in the community. And so this section is specifically for overall your organization's impact. The next section is what you expect to achieve with this grant. So the expected impact for the grant, who you wish to serve, how many people you will reach, etc. The grant questions, we have refined them to allow more space for you to share your plan and how you will accomplish it. There are 4 questions that you have to answer if you're applying for a grant that is $10,000 or less. The 4 questions are here. If you are applying for $10,001, then you will complete a narrative attachment. In addition to the 4 questions online already. This is how the narrative attachment looks like. On top we have information that is meant to guide you. And we have 3 additional questions for you to complete with no word limit.
So every applicant must fill out the 4 questions that do have word limits on this template. Again, you want to be mindful of your time so that you're not losing what you're populating and what you're writing. So every single applicant fills out the 4 questions with word limits. The threshold to submit the narrative application is the amount requested. So if you are requesting $10,001 or more, then you have to fill out the additional narrative attachment. This is one difference from previous years. Previously, we had 10,000 as our threshold. So everybody applying for 10,000 or more had to do the narrative attachment. Because we know we are targeting micro grants 1 to 10,000, we didn't want to add the additional writing workload to require those applicants who want to do the maximum for the pilot grant. So we increased the threshold slightly. So $10,000, you can apply for a $10,000 grant in all of our grant cycles and only answer the 4 word-limited questions. If it is more than 10,000, that means 10,000 or 1 or more, then you have to submit and complete and submit the narrative question. So let's go on.
Thank you, Sandra. Please also note there are 2 narrative attachments listed here. You will select the one labeled All Other Grant Cycles. The first narrative attachment is specific to the high impact grant cycle. Please make sure to select the right one to answer the right questions. The next item that you will provide us is the budget template. And I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. There's a link to download it. And let's see if we have any questions right now.
Okay, let's go over the budget template and we'll bring them up.
Okay, so I've downloaded the budget template and I have now opened it up. And the first thing I want to let you know is that you may receive a protected view error message from Microsoft Word. Please click on Enable Editing to continue. And there's another security warning that will pop up. Please enable content as well if you get those messages. The first thing you'll notice is that there is a pop-up with instructions on how to complete this Excel spreadsheet. Every organization applying for any amount will need to provide us with a grant budget. This is what that looks like, and I want to orient you to the instruction buttons here. This button will bring up the instructions back up. We have provided you with sample data in case you want to know how to fill this budget, how to complete it. So this button will populate that data in here.
This is just to show you what it would look like with information in it. So
Correct.
this example, you could clear it out, as Kelvin will do, and then populate your line items for your grant. And then the final button up there is print to PDF, and it'll print it very nicely, all the tabs of this whole form.
Right.
So this is very straightforward. So every applicant must fill this tab out. If you are applying for $10,001 or more, you've got a second tab here,
Right.
and it's located at the bottom. So let's walk us through that, Kelvin.
So that we switched tabs here at the bottom. It's called Financial History. This is all data taken from your 990, 990EZ, or a 990N. So we are only asking for that type of information. Again, we have the same buttons here, instructions. We populated with sample data, and we're going to clear it. Please disregard the third tab. It is meant to provide a visual to our committee on the information that you are providing. So you do not need to complete the third tab.
Go back up to the tab. Sorry. Now, let's say we are asking for history on that second tab, again, for those that are applying for $10,000 in one or more. So let's go into the history, go down to the bottom. Let's say you got formed in 2012 or 2013, then you're not going to have a history, right, for 2011, or before that. So provide an explanation here. Also, if there's a 30% difference from year to year, we want an explanation. So if this is for you to provide some context for the differences or the lack of information in it. So please provide that. Otherwise, it will delay your process. Okay. So do we have questions? Let's take some questions right now.
Yes. Let's see.
Let's take it. Yes. So suppose you updated the 990 in January and later in April. Have more recent 990s that you can upload should you update your profile. We know that there is a lag time for submitting your 990, so we want the most recent one. So we're processing in 2014. For a current 990 would be a 2012. So unless your fiscal year covers a 2011-2012 year, those are going to be the latest that we will be accepting. If you don't have a 990 and you're applying this year in 2014, from 2011, 2012, if you have a fiscal year, 2011, 2012, let's say you only have a 2009 or 2010, we will not accept it. That is not a current one. So that should answer that question.
We also have another question. There's a message on our website that the OPF needs to be completed in 2014 and approved by our program staff. What this means is that if you updated your organization profile form in 2014, in December of 2013, you need to update it in January of 2014 again and have it reviewed by our program staff before you can apply to any grant cycles in 2014.
So everybody, all applicants who apply to high impact or environment, which is at the end of, which was run at the end of 2013, You submitted all of this information in either October, November, maybe December. You do have to resubmit it in January of this year because we go on a calendar year. We do not go from a year of when you submitted it. It's every calendar year it needs to be updated. We put that note on because we also want to bring to your attention that because we're using the same OPF, we are updating one OPF. It's not a new OPF. Our notes are in there. The program staff's notes are in there from 2013. And if you were approved in 2013, you're going to see OK to apply with the initials of the program staff, the date and the time. We have had a few, I think there was maybe 3 organizations or individuals from organizations last year who went in, logged in, and saw OK to apply and did not pay attention to the year. So then they were looking at 2012 notes, and we were in 2013, and they just assumed that it was updated. So we have a notice on all the OPFs to make sure that it is updated in the calendar year, in the current year, because for all of those that are returning, and I think we had 62% of you that are returning, all of you have to update your OPF. There's not one of you that is ready to go for 2014. You all have to update your OPF in 2014.
Kathy has a question about who should sign up for an OLGA account, the fiscal agent or the organization?
The organization. We are gathering information about the organization or the community group. The fiscal agent is who we are going to write the check to, and they're just managing that grant. They are not running the program. They're not submitting the project or giving us the outlines of your project. They are just managing the grant. The applicant, whoever is taking the lead for the project or the program, the applicant, that's who we want the information for. And if we, in the OPF, the section for the fiscal agent is just that, the section for the financial. We do assess the financial health of that fiscal agent. It's part of our due diligence. We want to know that whoever is managing the grant, whether it is the applicant or the fiscal agent, that we want to look at things that they are doing. They want to look at their current financials, and we are explicit about the things that we want to review from the fiscal agent. So I hope that answers your question.
There's another question. Is it possible to apply for a micro and pilot grant concurrently?
No. It is not possible for the same organization to apply to both of those pots of money. It has to be one or the other.
And lastly, is this MAC compatible? Yes, our forms and our attachments are MAC compatible.
So those are Apple products.
Yes. Okay, so we have reviewed the budget attachment. Once you have saved it, you will go ahead and upload it here. Again, similar to the OPF, we have the submission status, same rules apply. Confirmation layers are still present in this form. And we're going to lastly go to review our final report. Our final reports are listed under My Grant Reports Funded Programs. And to start a new report, we will click on Submit Report. Same items to pay attention to: the timer, the sidebar, being able to print it to PDF is all available here.
And so this is all very straightforward. We don't have anything trying to trick you here. The questions align with the application questions. So please review this carefully. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. We make it available for you and encourage you to review it. So
right, this should be very quickly. We have a couple of fields that generate questions. However, this is a new field, the type of report, interim versus final. Again, this will only apply to high impact and teen pregnancy prevention grant cycles that award a multi-year grant.
So everybody applying to this particular grant cycle, if you are awarded, when you go in next year to fill out your report, you will select final report because this is just 1 year. That interim option are for our multi-year grant. But everybody on this call, if you are awarded, you will select final report.
The next section that has some modifications to it is the actual grant impact. The number of individuals served listed in this field here will need to coincide with the breakdowns of gender, age, and ethnicity following thereafter. So if you put 50 here as the total number of individuals served, the totals of males, females, LGBTQ, and not classified will need to total 50 as well. Same thing for age groups and ethnicity. If you did not classify or did not collect this data for any particular reason, you will need to provide an explanation. As Sandra mentioned, the final report questions specifically match the questions that we ask in the grant application. Lastly, same things to look out for as in the OPF and grant application with regards to naming budgets and attachments, the submission status, and the 3 layers of confirmation, letting you know that everything was saved correctly. That's about it with the how-to. We're going to return back to our PowerPoint presentation and wrap things up. We have, again, reminder that there's 3 layers of confirmation. If something is missing, please contact us. It may be an indication that something was not submitted successfully. And final tip for using Olga, your grant request must fall within the given ranges. If you are applying for $10,001 or more dollars, we require you to fill the narrative attachment and both worksheets of the budget attachment. When naming your attachments, please use, don't use any spaces, no symbols in your naming mechanism, otherwise we'll have issues. Be mindful of the save and return for editing and submit to FRF in all forms. Use the view mode to check your attachments were uploaded and that your narrative boxes were not cut off. If you have technical problems, please use Firefox or Chrome as they are the most compatible with our older system. Internet Explorer has difficulties. Give yourself plenty of time to complete all documentation.
Let's go to the next slide.
And this question.
All right, so we've gone through our presentation. We are at 1 hour and 15 minutes. We certainly want to take any questions that you have and clarify. And of course, if you think of something after this webinar, please feel free to email us. Let's see, Michelle, do we have any questions?
Nothing as of yet. If we have not answered one of your questions, please resubmit it and we'd be happy to answer them.
All right, so this is our first grant cycle of the year. We have a full grant making year, and something I shared with everybody in the information session yesterday is that all applicants submitting their OPF, and once it's processed and accepted, you are good to apply to any other grant cycle this year. You do not have to fill this out again. So I know 32% of you that are new, you do this once, you're doing it at the beginning. You don't have to worry about this for the rest of 2014. You could apply to youth, you could apply to human services or teen pregnancy prevention, environment, or high impact. Okay, we have a couple of questions.
Are grants always awarded as requested, or does it ever happen that you request a certain amount and you receive less?
Great question. So our committees, we have a limited amount of money, and these grant cycles have become very competitive, and they increase their competitiveness every year. So when they are reviewing and we say we're looking at this is how much we have, this is who we want to fund, and it exceeds the amount, our committee has modified the amount. However, here are the things that they consider before they modify. If you are applying for $55,000 in this grant, as it fits the grant range, $10,000 to $55,000, and you're using the funding to hire somebody, they're not, and we only have, let's say, $15,000 or $20,000 left, as they are making the allocations and the selections, they're not going to reduce a budget because they know it will undermine the project or the program. You are going to use $55,000 to hire a part-time person. You won't be able to hire that person if we reduce it to $10,000 or $15,000. So they will not do that. However, if you're requesting $55,000 and you're going to be serving in 25 different locations, a specific program, they may say, we've got $25,000 left. I wonder, instead of doing 25 different locations, if we can scale them back to 10 locations, given the narrative and the budget information that you provided us. That will not undermine the project or the program, but maybe scaling it down. Then they may be inclined to recommend. Again, they're going to make that recommendation, and the program staff will contact the organization to say, if we modified this, and here are some areas recommended by the committee, is this acceptable to you? Before they make any final recommendations to the board. So I hope that answers your question. They will not do it, without being informed and clear about the project and the impact of a reduction. And the program staff will contact that applicant with the recommendations of the committee to see if that is agreeable to you. And we will ask for those modifications before they make a final recommendation to the board. Okay, so go on with a couple of other questions.
The next question is, the Arts and Culture Grant is not a high impact grant because it is not a multi-year grant. Is that correct?
That is correct.
A high impact is actually a separate grant cycle that we will have later in the year.
Are there other arts grant cycles later in this year?
No, we only run one Arts and Culture grant cycle, and it is the first grant cycle of our grant making year.
And that's all the questions we have.
And Rick, if you're still on the line, do you have anything further to add before we end this presentation?
No, I don't have anything further to add. Sounds like you covered everything.
Great, great.
Thanks for sticking with us, Rick.
Yeah.
And we are at an hour and 20 minutes. So, great. I think we have
one last question. If awarded, when do funds become available?
If awarded, so we will, the committee will review in April and before April, but they will submit their recommendations to our April board meeting. And so those grant awards will be available in April, by the last business day of April. So depending on when grant agreements are all signed and submitted, we will award checks to those grantees by the end of April. So that's when grantees will be able to get their work. Again, we will not hand over a check without a signed grant agreement. So however long it takes you to do the signed grant agreement will depend on when you receive the actual check. But they will be available by the last business day of April. All right, that's it.
Thank you, everybody, for participating in today's webinar. If you have further questions, our contact information is available on the screen, and it is available on our website. We welcome any further questions.
And again, give us a couple of days to put this webinar. It will be in recorded form on our website. All right. Thank you.